Welcome to Married to the Boss.
Just kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Wow.
It's a joke. Okay. Okay, so we're good for this.
Okay.
I like it when you're casual like that.
Yeah.
Hi everybody, welcome back.
Hello there.
Today we're going to be talking about a very, very somber subject. We're going to be talking about divorce.
Yeah.
Well, not about us divorcing, but we're just going to be talking about divorce and what to do or how to avoid it. We know that having a business of your own is hard, but doing a business with your spouse is even more difficult. So, and it's, anyways, it's really hard.
It's a tough subject.
Yeah, it
is.
is.
Needs to be discussed.
It does, and we figured, well, we talked about how to disagree in the last segment that we covered last week. I just thought it was just a good segue into talking about divorce, because if you don't learn to disagree properly, you're going to end up in a place where you can't come back from. And that's what we're going to talk about today, how to avoid getting to the point of saying that awful bad word that begins with a D.
We kind of did.
I know,
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Hopefully our kids aren't watching or listening right now, but we came very close to calling it quits. It was a long time ago, but it was hard. It was hard because I had some notes I wanted to share with you, but I guess I can.
Jump right into it.
Actually, the notes are in line with getting into the topic of us almost calling it quits. Mm-hmm. So we're telling you this, we're sharing this with you because we have been there. We know what it's like, and as everybody knows, it's not a secret that, as I mentioned earlier, doing a business as an entrepreneur on your own is difficult, and keeping your marriage together is difficult when you go home to your spouse. But if you and your spouse are building a business together, you go home to that same spouse, that's even more difficult. And whatever happens in the business, whether it's good or bad, the same thing is going to affect the effects it has on the business. It could also have the effects on the marriage. And that's what kind of happened to us. So we're sharing this with you from experience. This was many, many years ago. So kids, if you're listening, this was a long time ago. We just had a really difficult time getting our head around, okay, things aren't working at the office, and we could not separate, at least it was just difficult, just the emotional aspect of the bad choices that I guess rolled into a really big, huge ball of a mess.
It's like momentum. Once that momentum starts and that snowball starts going down the hill, it can get ugly.
So we're going to share with you what we did to come back from that point of no return, because the first thing that we said and looked at each other is we were honest with each other. Can't live without you. You told me nothing. You can't live without me. And
let's don't get physical here. Let's just try to move on with the podcast, okay?
It's hard.
I know it's hard. I know.
Anyways, so we got real. We said, I can't live without you. Mm-hmm. You told me you couldn't live without me.
I definitely can't live without you.
Anyways, dear, you're the one who's supposed to help me not to get physical with you, right? You're not helping me.
Well, let me kind of jump in. So, your marriage to your spouse is really very similar to your marriage and your business. And they both have an incredible amount of stress involved. First of all, without even being in business, it's stressful to be in a marriage. I mean, we don't have to share the numbers of divorces, but it's a big number. So there's already challenges with just being married, right?
Yeah, because we were there. There was a long time ago when we first started out. We started out where you went and did your job, I left and did my job.
Yes.
And then I started doing my own thing, my own consulting gig, if you will, and
Yep.
you stayed doing your own job.
Yep.
So I was kind of sort of doing my own thing at the time. So it changed. It's different working for yourself, doing, just doing, anyway, working for yourself, going out trying to find jobs to do and stuff, and still have your spouse out there working at corporate. So it's a different type of stress, and I wanted to talk to you about it, and you didn't want to talk to me about it because you had your own corporate responsibility and your stress. And anyways, and then of course, I kind of convinced you into doing a business together, and then we now the third experience of doing a business together and going through those stresses, and we learned to talk to each other about the stresses at work. But at the beginning, we weren't very good at it.
Right.
We weren't good at it at all.
Well, it goes back to really how we started the first podcast with the main word, and it always has been with us, is communication. When that communication slows down or comes to a stop, you need help. So again, I look at a marriage being very, very difficult when you're not in business. But when you go into business, you just multiplied that 100-fold. Because the fact is that, I wrote a couple notes here, is that just in your regular marriage, forget business, but in marriage, you're going to have money issues. Most people live paycheck to paycheck. Communication, either I don't want to hear what you're talking about, you don't want to hear what I'm talking about, because we both have whatever problems. You're arguing over who should clean the bedroom. I mean, ridiculous arguing.
Or who's going to give the kids a bath or
Ridiculous arguing. Who's going to let the dog out? Stupid arguing. Unrealistic expectations, meaning that, in the personal life, we need a bigger house. In the business part of it is we need to start making money. So you think about that for a second, that you're struggling already in your own mind, you're struggling personally in your home, and then you got to wake up and go to business together. You better be getting along at home because you got to go work with each other. You better be getting along with each other at work because you got to go home to each other.
Yeah.
So those things have to go together. And the last thing is that, children, as much as children are a blessing in disguise, and they are, it adds more stress in your life. The kids have to go to school, they got to be picked up, they got to be taken to school, they got baseball, basketball, whatever sports practice that they have. And the demands really start kicking in, and it's no difference in business. You're growing your staff. Your staff is your children, and they have drama, whining, complaining, want more money. It goes on and on and on. So think about that for a second when you hear that word divorce. Divorce at home, and not in a business, versus having a business and then thinking about divorce. I mean, we know a few couples that run their own business and that are married, and they definitely lack some of the basics in order to keep their marriage alive and exciting. And that's what you have to do.
Yes.
If you don't take anything from this, I'm not sure what else I'm going to say after this, but if you don't take anything from this, you better work hard at keeping your personal life exciting and your business life focused. It's really that simple. When you're at work, you're in your office. Her office was next to mine for 6-7 years. I never even saw her next door, right? And she didn't close the door either. And I had a lot of ideas, and I still didn't go in there. But she was just in her world, and I'm in my world. And then I might go in there and say, hey, do you want something from lunch? We might eat together real quick, back to the grind, and not leave work 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. So
sometimes we would sleep there.
Sometimes we slept there, including with the dog. So again, I can't stress this enough, that you got to get it right at home. You got to be right at home. You can't even say, let's start a business if you don't have it right at home.
Very, very good point. Because if you're going to start out and you're on shaky ground and it's you can't handle the pressure at home, forget it. You're not going to handle the pressure at work and at home.
You are definitely not going to be able to handle the pressure
Yeah.
between both places. So I might have made a comment when we were talking earlier, is that marriage is tough. And if anybody listening to this does not agree marriage is tough, then, send us an email of why it's not tough to you. Why it's
Either
so
that or
easy.
maybe they just got married a couple
Oh
of
yeah,
years
maybe
ago.
maybe you're still on your 5th year honeymoon. But it is tough. In business, it's tough plus risk. You're putting your money, your life into it, you're hoping to make it happen.
Well, some guys would argue with you that so is marriage. You're putting your money, your time, and everything you have
Well,
into
yeah,
it.
guys are putting a lot of money into, we know you're going shopping.
Well, I
But I'm joking.
Not everybody.
I'm joking.
Unless I get to buy my shirts like this.
Right.
I'm representing today.
I'm representing too, the Fighting
Well,
Irish.
no, I
of
figured,
Notre Dame,
it's
and-
my NASA shirt.
I know, I see that.
But see, failure's not an option.
I see failure.
That's how I feel about our marriage.
Oh boy. All right, so the marriage is failure is not an option, and really got to go into the mindset that your business is the same way. You have to see it all the way through. Does that mean you're going to be successful? No, but you just got to work it hard. But going back to the tough and the risk, the pressures that comes from marriage being tough and work being risky, the pressures are big. And they're big enough to where it's not difficult really to get mad and so mad that you don't talk anymore and that you just had it and you say, maybe we should just get divorced. What are we going to do with the business? And all those different things might go through your mind.
Or the kids.
And the kids and what they're going to, how they're going to be
Yeah,
affected.
for us
So,
at the time it was the kids.
for better or for worse, is you've heard it before with marriage, but that's the same thing it is going to be in your business. And so.
No, that's a good point, because I was thinking the same thing too. I do see the synergy, I guess if you want to call it synergy, but similarities is probably a better word, between a marriage and a business. In marriage you have complementary skills, you do the same thing, and you chose to start a business together because you have complementary skills. In a marriage and a business, you have a shared vision. Business, you have a vision for your business. In a marriage, you have a vision for your marriage, and that is to hopefully grow old and together and enjoy the rest of your days together.
Growing old.
The other thing is you have to also look for net gains in the business, and the same thing is at home. In the marriage, you have to be able to balance your budget at the end of the month and be able to pay the bills. It's no different at work. And last but not least is you have long-term goals in the business as well as the marriage. In the marriage, it could be being able to retire and not have to worry about working 3 jobs to pay your rent. In the business, it's just being able to either A, sell the business, or B, have long-term longevity in your business where it's still paying for itself. So there are some similarities for that. And of course, like you said, the risk, the difficulties, the challenges, it can be, the similarities are there both places.
Right. So let me give you a part of a real life story. So we started one of our businesses during the Great Recession. So it was 2008 into 2009 is when we started our business. And of course, everybody that heard we were starting a business thought we were nuts. Actually, I think sometimes we thought we were nuts. There's a real interesting story about how that business even started, but that'll be in a
Some
book.
other time.
That'll be in a book we're writing. But I think it's important to mention 21 years that we still have a healthy marriage. Would you agree with that one? Okay, good. So yeah, she's not acting that she actually does agree with that. So think about that. Starting a business, you're married for, at that point, we were married 10 years. Happy at home and all that stuff, but then starting a business.
Together. I was
Together.
already doing my thing by myself
Yes.
for about 5 years.
Yes.
Together.
Yes, and it was really,
With no safety net, meaning a corporate job
None.
to fall back on.
none. We had nothing. So, so this has to be mentioned because I think that it's going to resonate with some people who are saying, that sounds like a good idea. And we created it just by creating it to get along, right? I mean, the fact is that when you hear this, I think it'll make sense. So it happened overnight, actually, where it was just like, you have a dream and you wake up and all of a sudden you don't have just one woman in your life. You have 4 women in your life. Now, any guys that are listening to this are going, 4 women in your life? Geez, I got enough drama with 1 woman. Well, it depends on how you look at those 4 women. But they're very different women. So let me explain that. Mayra is the CEO and has been the CEO of our company since back in that Great Recession time frame. Day one, she's been the CEO. Why? Is because, I already forgot, brains, I've got that one, but she's the boss and she does have more brains. And that's important because she's very analytical and without going into too much detail. So she's the CEO of the company. She's the wife. So CEO at work is your typical CEO, the boss. Wife, she's loving and caring. So whether it's loving and caring for me, the children, the dog, whatever the case may be, but she's the wife at home. And when we walked into the house, she immediately, the CEO thing went completely away and we didn't discuss business at home and she went right into wife mode, right?
That was cardinal rule that was never to be broken.
Worked hard with that. And then, but the next 2 I really, really like. Those first 2 I don't want to say I can get along without, but you know, the CEO, right, telling you what to do. The wife, you know, it's better than the CEO, but still there's some things there that kind of makes things, you know, challenging around the house. You know, we got to do this, we got to do that, and so on. So then there was the girlfriend. The girlfriend, oh my gosh, the girlfriend's my favorite. The girlfriend is spontaneous and with a lot of energy. Let's go do this, let's just go and see where it takes us.
The only one willing to do meetings with you in the bathroom.
And yeah, the only one, yeah, absolutely the only one that would do meetings in the bathroom, and we're going to stop there.
Yeah.
So, and then the 4th one, which I am pretty excited about as well, is the mistress.
That one's my favorite.
Fun and flirty. Right, so she was all 4 women.
I got to do that at the office.
When she, well, you kind of gave away.
Sorry.
Something.
I'm sorry.
So in the office, the question that I would have for you is that, okay, this guy is full of it. He's got 4 women in his life, and truly, she was 4 different, completely different women. And not all women probably can do that, but this one did, and it made things exciting, right? But you walked in the office, you knew the boss light was on, period. And so, however, when you're walking through the hall at your office, you know, between your offices, and you're walking back to the break room, and we cross each other in the hallway, and she slaps me on the rear end, the question is, who is she? Is she the boss? Is she the wife? Chances are she's not the wife, she's at work, but she could have been. The boss, the wife, the girlfriend, or the mistress. So I didn't even know who I was around half the time because, you know, there's 4 different women, but we separated everything. So I'm going to end on this and then you can jump in. So the important thing here is that we were able to separate work and home from playing and dating. The girlfriend, we were dating. The playing, probably the mistress. But the work and the home, obviously, is the wife and the CEO. And we still do that today.
And that actually is what saved our marriage, honestly. That honestly saved our marriage.
I agree.
Because we had to set our minds to putting our marriage above anything else.
Marriage had to be a priority.
Yeah, the risk of losing each other in our personal life was greater for us than losing the company. So I'm going to leave you with some tips because we're about to wrap up our show. And my tips to the audience is show gratitude and express your love to your spouse. Don't ever stop doing that. The other thing too is continue, just have fun and be honest. That's one thing that we own it. We have fun. We've always had fun, even up until leading up to the point where we almost called it quits. We always used to have fun, and just things happened so fast we didn't even recognize the relationship that we were in. But then of course we decided to, you know what, we're going to fight for it. And we decided to just have fun and be honest with each other, and honest meaning not to allow our feelings to get to that point, the boiling point. Just always express our feelings when it's frustrating wise, to avoid getting to that point again. Remind each other that you are on the journey together. I'm constantly reminding this one that I go where you go.
She reminds me that all the time, that she goes where I go, and truly that means everywhere. But another thing that she says almost every day, she used to say it every day, but kind of now still does. But she wants to marry me again. I hear that so much and I keep saying no, just FYI. I keep saying no, once is enough. But she wants to marry me again, so I told her that we are going to get married again. We just have to set a date and don't know when that's going to be. But business or at home, for some reason she wants to marry me again.
I'm in love.
I know you are, so let's continue.
The last tip that I'm going to leave you with is pray for your spouse. I pray for my spouse, and pray for your spouse to have that strong desire to stick it out with you, because that person may be so frustrated with you that maybe they have no desire to stick it out or even work through the problem. And when you get to that point, like we were, I got on my knees and it worked.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Anyways.
Jeez. What a way to end a podcast.
That is the end of our show. Did you want to end with anything else?
I can't touch that other than this was a tough conversation until the very end.
Yeah.
It got some changed directions a little bit, but divorce in personal life and divorce in business, they're very painful. They can be similar, I'm sure. We haven't had the experience of getting divorced in either one, but we were close enough to be able to talk about it. Hopefully this will help you think seriously about your partnership, your spouse, your business, and don't set expectations too high to where you can't reach it. Dream big. I'm not saying don't dream big, but be careful with expectations, because if both don't believe in those expectations together, then you're going to you're kind of going to think your separate ways, and which can cause friction.
Very good point. Very good point. Well, that's it for us.
It is? Okay. It's another one.
It's another one.
Bites the dust. Okay, here we go. Later.
Bye.
That's this week's episode of Married to the Boss podcast.